Greatness in the NBA often comes in pairs or trios. We remember the dominance of dynasties like the Showtime Lakers, the Jordan Pippen Bulls, and even the Curry-led Golden State Warriors. But for every dynasty that thrives, there's a super team that fizzles out and fails. We'll take a look at why they're assembled, what went wrong, and what these failed teams can tell us about chasing a championship. So today, we're counting down the top 5 failed super teams in NBA history. Let's go take a look. Starting off at number 5, our story starts all the way back in 2003. The Los Angeles Lakers had already won 3 championships behind Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. To make sure the dynasty continued, they added future Hall of Famers Karl Malone and Gary Payton. 4 All-Stars on one roster. It seemed almost unbeatable. Expectations were sky high. You add 2 All-Stars to a 3-peat championship team. Most people just assumed that Los Angeles would glide right to another championship. But then reality hit. Malone battled injuries and played only half of the season, while Kobe missed a bunch of games due to legal reasons off the court. And to add to all of that, Gary Payton could not fit into the triangle offense, and the feud between Kobe, Shaq, and Phil Jackson was just heating up. Despite the mess these guys brewed up off the court, the Los Angeles Lakers still reached the NBA Finals. But the series only lasted 5 games, and they got sent home by the Detroit Pistons.
On the Pistons thing, that's my fault because I didn't get us prepared to run our automatics.
After the season, Karl Malone retired, Payton was traded, Shaq was dealt to Miami, and the dynasty was over. Despite winning 3 in a row with Kobe and Shaq, the Lakers felt like they needed more firepower. But in reality, it ruined any hopes of winning a championship soon thereafter. The first super team on our list at number 5 failed not because of the lack of talent, but because chemistry and health were never right. The stars were there, they just never aligned. And now we fast forward to 2012 for our number 4 team, the Los Angeles Lakers again. Nearly a decade later, the Lakers are trying it again. In the summer of 2012, they acquired 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Dwight Howard and 2-time MVP Steve Nash. Now, Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol had already won 2 championships together in 2009 and 2010. After falling short in 2011, obviously the only logical thing to do would be to add Dwight Howard and Steve Nash, because obviously we don't learn from our past mistakes. After these 2 additions in the summer of 2012, Vegas had these guys as co-favorites with the reigning champion Miami Heat. But the excitement that swirled around this team quickly turned to agony. Steve Nash, who was 38 at the time, dealt with nerve issues and missed 32 games, while Pau Gasol missed 33 games. Even a young Dwight Howard sat out for stretches during the season while coming back from his back surgery. This star-studded starting 5 was only intact for 7 games all season. In the middle of the season, Coach Mike Brown was fired and a new coach, Mike D'Antoni, never found a rhythm with the squad. Kobe tried his best to carry the team on his back, but ruptured his Achilles right before the playoffs. With Kobe sidelined, the Lakers limped into the playoffs as the number 7 seed and were swept right out of there by the San Antonio Spurs.
I just think philosophically that relationship was never going to work.
Injuries, age, and defensive lapses doomed the 2012 to 2013 Lakers, making them one of the most disappointing super teams ever. At number 3, we fly all the way across the country to the East Coast and find our way to Brooklyn. In 2013, the Nets' new billionaire owner, Mikhail Prokhorov, wanted instant credibility. He traded 3 future first-round picks to Boston for their veterans Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry, adding them to Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, and Brooke Lopez. This roster carried enormous expectations, but also an enormous price tag. BusinessInsider.com reports that the Nets spent $197 million in salary and luxury tax during that season, which, by the way, the salary cap for the 2013 season was right around $60 million. So yeah, you're paying a ton of money over budget for a championship roster. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, unless that roster only wins 44 games. And that is exactly what the Brooklyn Nets did. They won 44 games and got lucky in the first round of the playoffs, beating an injured Toronto Raptors team, but then just got destroyed by LeBron's Miami Heat in 5 games. After just 1 season together, the super team was unraveled.
You know, it didn't work out, and that's what everybody looks at, but I easily feel like it could have worked out just the same.
Paul Pierce left in free agency, Kevin Garnett was traded back to Minnesota, and Jason Terry was shipped off as well. Brooklyn had mortgaged its entire future for a single playoff series win. And to make it worse, the Celtics used those picks to draft Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, underscoring just how costly Brooklyn's gamble was. Now, if you ever watched these 2013 Brooklyn Nets, you know exactly why this team found no success. It was a bunch of stars at the back end of their prime trying to play iso ball for 48 minutes. There was a complete lack of team chemistry, and this team was a perfect perfect example that you cannot just shove a bunch of all-stars on a roster and hope for some wins. And to make it worse, the Brooklyn Nets were so down on money they didn't recover until they tried it again in 2019. And with that being said, at number 2 we have the 2019 to 2023 Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving shocked the league by joining forces in Brooklyn. And after 2 years of limited success, in January of 2021 they traded for James Harden and formed what some called the greatest offensive trio ever.
We didn't think we could beat the Nets at full power. That was a team that we thought we might not be able to get past for 3 or 4 years.
To this day, I still do not understand why Kevin Durant left the dynasty of the Golden State Warriors to go try for a championship with the Brooklyn Nets. But at the time, with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, it made sense because honestly, I thought they were going to win multiple championships. But as we've seen 3 times in this video already, the super team dream quickly became a nightmare. According to Elite Sports New York, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden only played 16 games together total. James Harden's hamstring, Kevin Durant's knee, and Kyrie Irving doing whatever the heck he was doing getting suspended meant the chemistry never had a chance to form. By February of 2023, all 3 starters were gone. Harden had demanded a trade a year earlier, Kyrie Irving asked out, and Durant was sent to Phoenix for a package of draft picks. The Nets invested their entire capital into the star power, but never built a team. In the end, after all 3 stars had left, all the Nets had was the draft capital from the Suns and the memories of KD's foot on the three-point line. The Kevin Durant trade marked the end of the experiment and one of the quickest super team collapses ever. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking. How can the Brooklyn Nets be at number 2? They had 3 of some of the best offensive powers the NBA has ever seen. But that doesn't matter because at number 1, we have the first super team experiment ever with the 1998 to 1999 Houston Rockets. Michael Jordan's Bulls had just broken up and Houston sensed an opportunity. They brought in 6-time champion Scottie Pippen to join up with former MVPs Hakeem Olajuwon and Charles Barkley. With 3 first-ballot Hall of Famers, the expectations were humongous. But as you could guess, the star-studded lineup never clicked. A Fox Sports article noted that the trio was past its prime and that Pippen and Barkley clashed from the start. In fact, Pippen openly criticized Barkley's commitment to winning and requested a trade after 1 season.
He doesn't show me the desire to want to win. That's my reason for wanting to get away from playing with him anymore, because he doesn't show the dedication.
But in Barkley's defense, Scottie Pippen just finished winning 6 rings with Michael Jordan. Anybody compared to Michael does not want to win as bad as Michael did. And at the end of the 50-game shortened season due to a lockout, the Rockets went 31-19 and lost to the Lakers 3-1 in the first round of the playoffs. The coach of the Rockets couldn't integrate Pippen's versatile style into the Rockets' post-oriented offense. Pippen felt like he was reduced to a spot-up shooter and disliked the slower pace of play. But once again, after playing like 10 years with Michael Jordan, nothing else is going to compare. Charles Barkley actually expected an apology from Scottie Pippen for quitting, but Pippen famously admitted that he'd never apologize, even at gunpoint.
I wouldn't get Charles Barkley an apology at gunpoint, so he could never expect an apology from me.
Their bitterness lingered and the super team only lasted 1 season. Well, what can we learn from these failed super teams? My conclusion is that health, age, and chemistry are the most important factors in a championship team. You cannot just stack all-star on top of all-star and expect a winning formula. And it becomes even more important when you spend your entire team's assets on all-stars just to throw away your future if it fails. The win now formula has been successful in the past, but it is not a rock-solid formula. The risk a franchise takes by spending their entire capital on a bunch of stars for a win now chance is not worth the risk if they end up losing and you throw away your future after it gets dismantled. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.